Welcome to the Black Gay History Channel. Please share this video and subscribe to this channel for more captivating content. The Black Power movement that emerged in America in the 60s and 1970s galvanized many Black people globally to take their identities as Africans and as a diverse global Black community more seriously. One of the most recognizable organizations that became the face of Black power, Black unity, and Black protection against white supremacy during that time period was undoubtedly the Black Panther Party, an American political party and community organization that sought to protect Black Americans from systemic injustice and police brutality. In 1970, the founder of the Black Panther Party, Huey P. Newton, would publish an article in the Black Panther newsletter entitled "A Letter from Huey to the Revolutionary Brothers and Sisters" about the women's liberation and gay liberation movements. In it, he would detail the similarities between the Black community's assaults by the police and the police harassment and raids which terrorized gay bars during that time period. He also implored Black Panther members to stop using hateful language towards gay men and instead asked them to ask themselves whether their hatred for gay men stemmed from any real problem or rather their own insecurities of being labeled gay themselves. While many Black people today continue to embrace the legacy of the Black Panther Party, they seem to conveniently forget the inclusion of gay members and even gay leaders of the movement and cling to their homophobic ideals and rhetoric even in 2025. But there were several and likely many more gay members of the Black Panther Party. So here's just a quick list of 5 Black gay icons who were involved and collaborated with the Black Panther Party. Rodney Barnett. Rodney Barnett is a Black gay activist and entrepreneur who opened the first Black gay bar in San Francisco. But incredibly, in 1968, he had previously started the first Compton chapter of the Black Panther Party in Los Angeles. After being investigated by the FBI for his work in the Black Panther Party, Barnett moved to San Francisco in 1969 and was shocked at the blatant racism Black gay men experienced in the gay clubs. Eventually, in 1990, Rodney Barnett would buy the Eagle Creek nightclub on Market Street in the Mission District of San Francisco and specifically catered to Black LGBTQ people in the San Francisco and the Bay Area. Eagle Creek became the hub of the Black gay community for several years in San Francisco and wasn't just a place to dance and get drinks. They were also involved in promoting Black gay events outside of the bar as well. The bar hosted fundraisers for political organizations like Lesbians and Gays of African Descent for Democratic Action, as well as hosting the first Black gay pride float in the San Francisco Gay Pride Parade. In recent years, Rodney Barnett and his daughter, Sadie, spoke about uncovering his FBI files and the invasive surveillance, harassment, and discrimination he experienced as a community organizer in the Black Panther Party, including losing his job at the post office. There are over 500 pages of the FBI surveillance of his community activism, including his collaboration with other Black Panther Party members like Angela Davis. Angela Davis is a lesbian activist, educator, and author who was one of the most prominent and visible members of the Black Panther Party throughout the 1960s and 70s. Davis is known for her ties to the Communist Party, as well as feminist movements, and her work to abolish the prison industrial complex that adversely affects the Black American community. She worked at numerous universities throughout Europe and the US, getting honorary doctorates and her PhD at the University of California, as well as working as an assistant professor of UCLA. Because of her work and community activism, which spans several countries and state lines, with connections in Cuba, Germany, and Russia, she was targeted by the American government. She was vocal publicly and in the media about racism in America, as well as the anti-women objectives that lived even in the Black civil rights movements like the Nation of Islam. Many of her ideas that were deemed radical in the 1970s are now the basic tenets of most leftist movements, including police and incarceration reform and women taking leadership roles. Angela Davis has also written numerous acclaimed books about her political opinions on race and the prison industrial complex, and autobiographies about her life. And despite her run-ins with the American judicial system and the surveillance from American agencies like the FBI, Davis has continued her work teaching in universities throughout the U.S. In 1997, Angela Davis came out as a lesbian in Out magazine, and in 2023 announced she's living with her partner, Gina Dent. The Gay Liberation Front. The Gay Liberation Front was a popular umbrella organization for several smaller queer organizations that came together in 1969 after the Stonewall riots brought national attention to the plight of gay Americans and the discrimination they faced. Members of the Gay Liberation Front, some of which were Black, sought to make formal connections with chapters of the Black Panther Party, particularly after hearing about the founder Huey P. Newton's open letter of solidarity to their movement. A Harper's Bazaar article in 2021 highlights the story of 5 members of the Gay Liberation Front who went on a national tour to speak to leftist-leaning community groups to build collaborative efforts by supporting local Black freedom organizations and educate the public on the Gay Liberation Front's goals. Joel, Richard, Giles, Jimmy, and Doug left New York in their Volkswagen bus and toured cities like New Orleans, Greenville, North Carolina, and Louisville, Kentucky, to speak about their roles in the Gay Liberation Front and the ways different community groups could support one another. Many members of the Gay Liberation Front were also considering taking up firearm training like the Black Panther Party. It's also documented that, like all of the other left-leaning groups of the time period, these young activists were being surveilled by authorities in the U.S. government who saw the collaboration of Black rights and gay rights organizations as a threat to national security. Pat Parker. Pat Parker was a lesbian author, poet, and activist who was involved in many progressive community movements in America, including the Black Panther Party. After growing up in Houston, Texas during her childhood, she would move to LA in the 1970s to pursue a higher education in LA and San Francisco, and would become involved in several community organizations for Black women's rights, including the beginning of the Black Panther Party. After having 2 divorces with men in the 1960s, Parker would come out as a lesbian in the 1960s and 70s, and would become involved in women's rights and gay rights movements. She has written several books talking about her traumatic experiences with losing a sister and dealing with domestic violence, including collections of poetry, as well as being a part of many anthologies like Child of Myself, Movement in Black, Unleashing Feminism, Lesbian Concentrate, Amazon Poetry, an anthology of lesbian poetry, and Homegirls, a Black feminist anthology. Magora Kennedy. Magora Kennedy, born Magora Ernestine Molyneux, was a minister, author, and lesbian activist who was a part of several important community movements in American Black and gay history. Not only was Kennedy a part of the beginning of the Black Panther Party, she was also present during the Stonewall riots. Born and raised in New York State, she was outed as a lesbian in her teen years and was forced to marry a grown man by her own father, but the marriage was eventually annulled. She would also marry gay and bisexual men in her adult years before divorcing them and eventually embracing her lesbian identity. In 1969, she would be a part of the Stonewall riots, driving to the protests to support the other gay protesters. She would also join the Boston branch of the Black Panther Party while she attended Boston University. She would attend seminary at the Yale Divinity School, becoming a minister in New York. In 1971, she appeared on The David Susskind Show, along with other LGBT activists, arguing against the American Psychiatric Association's designation of homosexuality as a mental disorder. In 1979, she served on the task force on racism of the Christian Social Action Commission of the Metropolitan Community Church. This is so important because the MCC Church is now the most prominent LGBTQAI+ affirming Christian church in America, if not the world, with branches in every major city across the country and even internationally. I've attended MCC churches in Texas, California, and even here in Ontario, Toronto, and it's always comforting to attend churches where the priests are gay or trans, and they are gay couples and families throughout the church. Magora Kennedy continued her activism throughout the years and continued to tell her story about her involvement in Stonewall and the beginning of the gay rights movement in America.